Okay guys, I don't know how successful of a video this is going to be for you. I'm trying to show you how to hook up the 1000-watt controller, the 48 volt, to the cart, but unfortunately I've already done all of the modifications. So I'm going to try and help you just understand what to do by looking at the wire colors, because every wire coming out of here is basically different. So, and I'll probably repeat myself a few times just to get the point across, and I happen to be pretty talkative. So let's get started and take a look. Now, right off the bat, you're gonna notice that there's a lot less wires coming out of mine than the ones that you're gonna be getting. And that's because once I realized which wires I actually needed, I took this apart. I took these screws out right here, and I pulled this out, and I undid these screws, and that allows you to pull the whole thing out. And I just desoldered every connection that I didn't need coming out of here. And on my other carts, I actually hot glued this hole back up so that it was more water resistant. I didn't do that on this cart, but let's get started explaining what we're actually going to be looking at here. Sorry the lighting isn't the greatest. Okay, so first of all, on this new controller and on the old controller, you're going to have yellow and blue wires. These are for the motor. So what you're going to want to do is just snip your connections at your new controller, and you're going to want to crimp these new connectors on, male and female, so that they fit upright. And they're heat shrink, so I just got a lighter and they shrunk around real nice. So that way you're not soldering these cables back together all weird. You're just connecting them beautifully. All right, here we go. And so that's your motor connection. That will be very simple. The largest black and red connection coming out, you'll do the same here. You'll snip that, and you'll use your old battery connector side. So far, two very simple things to do, okay? One of the main difficulties of this whole thing that you're gonna run into really is this one here that says derailleur. If we can see that right there. So you'll notice that the old plug for, here, let me go get the old controller. And here is the throttle right here. You'll notice that there are 6, what is it, 5 or 6 connectors here. Yeah, there's actually 6 wires going into this. The only modification you're gonna have to make to the new controller is you're gonna have to find this one with 3. And there's an edge right here at the top and the bottom. You need to get a razor blade or some sandpaper or a grinder or something and cut that off so that it will actually fit into your other connector. Where's the pedal connector? Yeah, so it's gonna go, once you have that ground down right here, that's gonna fit right in here. And if there was that little ridge on there, it wouldn't go in very well. But once you have it ground down, it just goes right in the top 3, just like this. Perfectly. And that's all you need for your speed controller. And so really, the only other connection here is the small red and blue. And this is kind of a pain in the butt here, because when you switch over to this 48 volt controller, your LED on light is no longer going to work, unfortunately. Basically all I did, there was the 3. You only need these 2 here on the left to close the circuit up here, okay? So you'll take, here we go, you'll take your red and blue, And it doesn't matter which of those two you connect. It's not a polarity thing, it's a closing the circuit thing, so it doesn't matter which one you do. And just connect them, and there's your power switch. You're good to go. Your charging port is going to be through the battery connection. So you're going to have to unplug your battery and plug it into the charger, and I'll show you how to do that in a minute. The only other one that I left is the small black and red one. And the tip of this, I believe, said indicator. And that was, this is basically for your battery voltage. And I bought this, I believe this is in the link. It's not super helpful, really. And the battery voltage is only gonna be accurate when you're not moving, when the battery is not under a load. And you'll press the power button or turn the switch and you'll see it. But I have that hooked up and everything else was removed. So it's really simple. You need the controller for your battery, your accelerator pedal, the power to your motor, your on-off switch, and that's it. And your indicator is completely optional. You can just pull that right off if you don't want to use it, or, you know, unsolder it. It's really that simple. What else was I going to show you? So here's the 48-volt charger that we got, that's in the link. And I just chopped the end of it off. I don't remember if I showed you in the last video or not. I chopped the end of it off, and I made sure I used the voltmeter thing to determine what was the positive and the negative. And I made sure that I would be hooking that up correctly to my battery connection. And real quick, here's what that would look like. I'm going to plug in my charger. And there's the charger right there. As you can see, it's got a green light because it's not plugged in. Now this battery is already full, so it's just going to turn red for a quick second when I plug it in. This would plug up to the battery, but I'm going to plug it up into here. Just like that. All right, so now we've got the charger plugged into the other half of the battery, and here's your battery. We're just gonna plug it into the battery. Boom, turns red for a second, and it goes, oh, we're charged already. Now it's green again. It's really that simple. So that's how you do it. You know, just morally, I can't leave room for questioning what was what on this controller. If you don't have a voltmeter to tell you which side of the connection is positive or negative, you would really be upset that I didn't tell you that. So this blue wire, I'm really sorry that it's out of focus. It's kind of driving me a little nuts. The blue wire that you're gonna find when you pull this away, that's gonna be your positive side. The brown wire, that's gonna be your negative. Now they're very delicate, so you want to be careful, but it's doable. So what I do is, once that wire is stripped, I actually fold it back down onto itself. So I don't just put the bare wire in here. Let's pretend that this wire is one of the wires, one of these, right? You're gonna strip it, right? Now you can just twist it here, and you could just put it right into one of these, and it should just go, right? But no, these wires are really thin. So imagine this is that thin wire. What I did was I bent it back over itself like that. And the reason, and then I put it in, and then I crimped it. And the reason that I did that is because if you just have this thin wire crimped in there, well, if that wire moves enough, it's just gonna break eventually, and you'll have to redo it. But if you fold that wire over onto itself, what's the likelihood that that thing is gonna bend and break, right? Because it's got itself as support. So I hope that makes sense to you, and that's how you wire up the charger. Once you're finished putting these connectors on, you're gonna wanna wind this nice and thick, gently so you don't break it. But you want it nice and thick so that it's sturdy and it will last over time. So I have mine here in a vice grip, gently grabbing it so that I can hold these pieces while I wrap that tape around it. And when it's about ready, it should feel barely flexible at all, really. So, just a little extra tip. And when you're done, you just unplug the charger and plug it back into the battery, or the controller.
You will no longer stand between me and my destiny.
But I will. I told you it was always between us.
Oh, I ache to smash you out of existence. To drive your cursed face from my memory forever.
Enough!
Yes! Let this be our final battle!
Boom, and that right there, that's normal. That's because there's no voltage going into the controller, and you're suddenly recharging it with voltage. I can't think of anything else that you need to know about this, except for maybe the way it's mounted. There were some tabs here, right here. I cut those off so that I could mount the controller up flush against this. I just like things to be nice and tight. And it doesn't look great now because I've been taking this thing on and off for videos, but I'm gonna tighten it up at some point. It's gonna look real good. So if you can see, which I don't know if you can, I'm taking the motor wire and putting it in this channel to the right. And then the on-off switches, it's gonna go to the channel to the left. And then I've got the controller just kind of fits right up in here as much as I can. And I have it's basically pushed up right behind these switches here. And I am going to get some electrical tape right here. Boom. Now, this is actually kind of just a temporary hold. And I took out the charging port underneath here. So there's going to be some glue behind here, and I just chiseled it off, and I unscrewed the little circle behind it and pulled it out, and now it's just a hollow little shell down there, and I squirt hot glue down in there, enough to where it contacts the controller and the frame, so it's nice and sticky. And also, I put hot glue along this edge and the other edge. And that'll hold it there. It's actually really, really good. You can do whatever you want. That's just what I did. I hope this explains the controller. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask. I may just buy another controller to show you what to cut off or how to solder it, or take it apart or whatever. But for now, if you're a little bit handy, this will solve your problem. So I hope that helps. Have a good one.